Good day and welcome to this Heritage Day special broadcast. My name is Vuyo Mvogo. Well, today we're celebrating Heritage Day, and under the theme this year, celebrating the heroes and heroines of the liberation struggle in South Africa. And for the next hour and a half, we'll be coming to you live from Upington in the Northern Cape, and that is where the official rally to commemorate this day is, of course, being held. And that is where Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe will be delivering a keynote address, talking to the nation about what it is that the government believes as a nation we should be celebrating this particular year, and how. I'm not alone, of course. I'm with my colleagues Tammy Dixon, Yolisa Njamela, as well as Lebuani Masakona. All three of them are in Upington, up in the Northern Cape. Well, without wasting any more of your time, let's go straight to Upington, where Tammy Dixon is standing by. Tammy, how is it going up there?
Sibabingasibini ke mbawokanyana umvoko siyabulela mhlekazi wami sinamkela ngokunjalo kweliphondo lase Northern Cape silapho kule dolophu yase Upington istadium bathi Dani Case Stadium lapho khona wonke lo mcimbi wenziwa khona sikude ke kufuphi kunye neborder yase Namibia kunye nelizwe loMzantsi Afrika nalapho khona ke sazinto bana elizwe loMzantsi Afrika kunye neNamibia banembali enhle kakhulu yezopolitiko kamaqhina ezopolitiko bawasebenzisa kakhulu kakuhle kakhulu ngexesha kwakusalelwa inkululeko. This is the place where the 2012 National Heritage Day main event is going to be held right here at this stadium. The guests have already arrived. The delegation of Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe is already on stage. We've seen the Minister of Arts and Culture, Minister Paul Mashatile, and his Deputy Joe Patla already, and other guests. They are seated at the podium. The proceedings are underway as we speak. We've seen a number of activities earlier on this morning and here at this stadium, including the military parade, which was executed with that military precision that we know. We've seen a 21 gun salute as well going off here to mark the beginning of the 2012 National Heritage Day. We've seen as well a fly past also on above as you can see right now, the fly past over this Dani Case Stadium. All of these are part of celebrating this rich culture of South Africa. We know that South Africa comes from a very painful past where culture was used as part of the political processes to oppress others while giving others an opportunity to prosper. But after the dawn of democracy way back in 1994, all of that has been put behind us. Culture now is used as a weapon to forge social cohesion and unity in our country. That's the essence of this day, and that's the message that we are likely to hear from the speakers as they are about to take the podium now, talking about the essence and the importance of culture, really to unite the people of South Africa, to ensure that people feel very comfortable in their cultures. Kungabikho umuntu ubona ingathi inkcubeko yakhe ayihlonitshwa. Wonke umuntu eMzantsi Afrika feel akhululeke ukusebenzisa inkcubeko yakhe, azidle baziqhenye abantu bazithande ngamasiko abo. Andikho ndedwa ke apha kwesi stadium namvuyo ndine colleagues zam ezikhoyo ezingqangileyo kumacala omane esi stadium, nabo ke bazasichazela into bana ngaba bona babona ntona kobubumbeje sibubonayo apha kwesi stadium saseDani Case. Masibaleke ke siye kuYolisa Njamela kwenye icala asichazele into kokuba ingaba yena ubona ntoni na kweli icala le stadium. Yolisa.
What it means, therefore, it means as we celebrate today, we need to know that we are also celebrating with other countries. Today we look tall when we stand up, but that's because we are standing on the shoulders of those who supported us. Today we still look tall. That's because we did what we do.
A very good afternoon to you. I'm coming to you live from the Danny Kaye Stadium here in Upington. Well, earlier on, we just saw a lot of people celebrating and recognizing this day. And, as our National Heritage Act, Resources Act of 1999 says that, this Heritage Day, it helps us to identify, our cultural identity, to know exactly who we are. And today here, I'll be interacting with a lot of people that have come here just to understand what they understand by this day and why are they here to celebrate with us. With me now, I'm with Umama Tenji Wepinar, who is also a local in this place. I just want to hear from you. Why are you here today?
I'm here today just because I want to celebrate our culture, the Heritage Day.
And do you think that it's also important maybe to learn from other cultures, learn other languages?
Kubaluleke kakhulu just because siyafuna ukuzazi zonke inkcubeko zabanye abantu. Ingakumbi masithi amaXhosa akhona apha, abeSuthu bakhona, abeTswana bakhona, amaVenda bakhona. So lanto iyasidibanisa into ba sikwazi ukwazana and umuntu ayazi culture yomnye umuntu ukuthi inkcubeko yomnye umuntu ayazi ungazi le yakho wedwa inkcubeko.
Well, we just heard from her. She's saying that, unity in diversity, that is what we're talking about. And just looking around, we can see that there are a lot of different people here. The Rainbow Nation, just to understand that unity in diversity is really important happening over here. Well, right now, we do have Yolisa Njamela waiting to speak to us. Yolisa.
Ndiyabulela libowane kweli cala kugcwele abantu abazobhiyozela inkcubeko amafa amagugu elilizwe. Of course, the theme today is celebrating the heroes and heroines of the struggle, people who stood firm against a lot of injustices, people who lost a whole lot of things, including their lives, of course. In some quarters of the country, there's some discontent because a couple of years ago, this day was branded a National Bride Day. So some are saying, of course, you can go ahead and reminisce, get around that fire, socialize, etc. However, it seems like some are complaining that we're relegating this day to nothingness. So that's why then they will be worried that while we want to socialize and celebrate this day in many other ways, we must always ensure that diversity is always coming up trumps. We're now taking it back to the podium.
As we celebrate the centenary of Africa Oldest Reparation Organization, we are inclined to remember the heroes and the heroes of our reparation struggle. This was the theme of our Heritage Day celebration last year, and it anchors into Heritage Day 2012 for our country. Reparation struggle is a fundamental part of our shared heritage. We therefore celebrate Dr. Priska Isaga Seme, Ingos Albert Lutuli, Ubaba O Altambo, Ubaba O Tasisulu, the Reverend Afias Zulu, Reverend James Tarata, Dr. Wilson Zamindlela Kongo, and Dr. Nelson Horintata Mandela. Each made their marks on our struggle and our history. But there are many more heroes and heroines of our struggle. Indeed, every South African who laid down their desire to reiterate, who sought to understand our differences, and who let go of resentment, further our cause for reconciliations, unity, and peace. Our heritage was forged over 350 years of struggle for identity and self-determination. Yet when we speak of our liberation struggle, we often remember only the deeds of past 100 years. And in truth, the safeguard of our heritage was only concretized within the last few years before democracy. When we were still in the negotiation table for agreeable democratic settlement, it was there that the IFP championed our cultural heritage, demanding the recognition of a new South Africa, of the institution of traditional leadership and monarchy. It was at the negotiation table that the IFP demanded the creation of provinces and worked to give provinces such power as possible. It was at the negotiation table that the IFP fought for inclusion in South Africa, the Constitution of Bill of Rights, when the ANC believed that the democratic government could not possibly infringe on the right of the people. It was at the negotiation table that the IFP introduced the need for the Constitutional Court and the creation of champion 9 institutions, like the Human Rights Commission and the Public Protector, not to support the government, but to hold its accountability. Inkatha proudly played a role in forging our country heritage, and the IFP courageously fight to carry our gains into a new South Africa. As we stand 18 years away from our liberation struggle, we celebrate the heritage of hope, perseverance, and overcoming. In the years ahead, South Africa will need this trait to meet its present and future threat to democracy. The IFP is proud to uphold these traits and proud to support Heritage Day. Sithi umhlonishwa umphathiswa walomnyango usekuncane osekwenzekile kusekhulu okufanele kwenze izwe libhekele umnyango izwe ukuze liphile libhekele umnyango. Sithi mhlonishwa umongameli obambileyo lelizwe njengamanje sekuncane sekukhulu eselikwenzile kodwa kusekhulu futhi okwenzekile ukuthi abantu bagcina amasiko ngoba mawubheka nje njengoba sikhuluma la sigqoke namabhurukwe kodwa mawubheka ukuthi kuyisiko lethu yini lelo. Sikhuluma wonke ama languages umbuzo ukuthi kuyisiko lethu yini lokho. Kungakho ke sithi masisuka la kufanele sisebenzele ukuthi ayibuye emasisweni. Siyathokoza.
Siyabonga siyathokoza ubaba uSithole umele iIFP Inkatha Freedom Party. Kanako re tla bitsa moetapele wa UDM United Democratic Movement ile go morena Khanyago o a leng ko parlamenteng kwa Cape Town a tlo fa polelo. Mr. Khanyago, Member of Parliament and leader of the UDM, to come and give a message on behalf of the UDM.
Arlo Cheng, die waarnemende president van de Republiek van Zuid-Afrika, meneer Mutante, ministers wat hier vandaag hier verrichtingen bijwoon, adjunct ministers en andere mensen wat van ver af komen, wat ook hier gekomen het. Ladies and gentlemen, I really don't know where to start when I think about heritage. Heritage is a very, very important concept that we should really explain to our children, convey it very clearly to our children. We cannot have heritage if we don't have freedom. Now we all know we have freedom, and we know how we got that freedom, and that is why we say, we celebrate, and we also give honor to those people who liberated us. Ladies and gentlemen, heritage is very, very important. I think all of you know very well that some years back, we were not allowed to do certain things because they were seen as barbaric. We know it. I personally, as a young man, enjoyed dancing our traditional cultural dance, which in Sepedi is called Idinaga. But during our time, when I was a young man, we would do it slyly, would not do it always openly, because if your parents are Christians, if your parents belong to a certain church, you would not be allowed to participate in those activities. But we have seen today here, in the morning as we were waiting for the opening of this event, we saw different activities here, cultural activities, dances that we enjoyed. And this is because of the freedom that we have. They form part of our heritage. When I went to school for the first time, When I got to the school, I had one name, and my name is Ntobile. And it has meaning to me because I'm the only son in the family. Now, when I was born, my parents were so happy to have a boy in the family, and they called him Ntobile. We have picked up something for the family. It has meaning. But when I got to school, they wanted me to give another name. They said, you must give us your Christian name or school name. And I had to coin a name and call myself Marcel, which I do not use anymore. And I plead to some of you here who have similar experiences to go to Home Affairs, to go to speak to the Home Affairs people to assist you, because if you don't change those names, they will be engraved on your tombstones when you die next time. And we don't want that. You have to have your real names, names that you get from your parents according to our tradition and culture. So that's why I say the concept of heritage, it's very, very important and paramount. We need to sit down with our children, explain to them what it means to us. We are really very, very happy that heritage can bring us together. Today we are sitting here together as one nation. We are one nation, and we cannot afford to be, many nations in one country. We are one nation. Now, and I still want to repeat because this annoys me, the question of being Marcel when you are an old man is wrong, because I was given this name for the purpose of attending school. I'm not attending school anymore. So I must discard this name because I'm not a schoolboy anymore. You know, there are people who are still carrying funny names like Galfoot, because when you went to school, you did not have shoes, and they said you are Galfoot, and you have it in your ID. And I plead again, and I plead again, please go to Home Affairs, get rid of these funny things, so that we become one nation and we move on in the right direction. The UDM is very happy and supports occasions of this nature. And we feel we are really free in the true sense. And if we are free in the true sense, we must avoid certain things that should not be part of our heritage. We must avoid them completely. We don't want to see people, neglecting others. We don't want that. We don't want to see people hijacking cars. We don't want that. They should not form part of our heritage. We don't want to see people stealing. That is not good. We want to see our people seeing themselves as one nation. And we don't want to have unemployment as part of our heritage. We must do away with it. We must do away with unemployment so that all of us can be very proud to be employed. There is something very, very important about being employed. If you are not employed, people don't respect you the way they should respect you. If an employed person and an unemployed person come here, the seat will be given to the employed one. The unemployed will sit on the ground. We don't want that anymore. So we really support this wholeheartedly as a political party, and we say unemployment and all these funny things like corruption, let's do away with those things. They must not form part of our heritage. I thank you.
We also thank you for reminding us that when we talk about name changes, we're not only referring to the changes of the names of streets and towns, we can also change our own names. We thank you for the reminder and the advice that you also don't need the minister's approval when you want to change your name. You see, when you want to change the name of Upington, then ultimately it must be approved. But if you want to change from Joe to Matume, you don't need approval from the Minister of Arts and Culture. Re lebogile Tate Kganyago. Ka sebaka se re tla bitsa president wa mokgatlo wa Pan Africanist Congress of Azania ebile le ena moetapele kwa parlamenteng morena Letlapampatlele a tla re fe molaetsa wa mokgatlo wa Pan African Congress of Azania. Isolate.
Akhbare Varnemente President Meneer Kgalema Motlanthe, Akhbare Minister van Kens en Keltier Meneer Paul Mashatile, Akhbare Gaste, the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, PIC, Groet E en Wens E, Afur Spoedige Erfenisdag toe. Vandaag wordt Erfenisdag herdenkt en ons verplicht om taal en cultuur samen te voegen, om zodoende een fundament daar te stellen om een verstandhouding van eenheid te scheppen. Njengoba sivuyisela olusuku namhlanje, hleze silibale ukuba umhlaba siseko nomongo womzila wemvelaphi yethu. Ngaphandle komhlaba imvelaphi yethu ayiphelelanga. Siyazi sonke ukuba xa sixhenza emhlabeni, xa soluka emhlabeni, xa silima yonke into esuka emhlabeni. Sikhalela umhlaba wethu ingoma yitsho. Baga yethu gompieno re keteka letsatsi la ngwaoboswa. Lehathi ke pinagare ya ngwaoboswa setšhabeng sefe kapa sefe. Moafrika wa bogologolo o ne a dumela gore lehathi ke kabelo ya modimo le badimo. A dumela gore thekiso ya lone ke thogako mo badimong. Borraetsho le bommaetsho ba re abetse lehathi gore re tshele ka lone e seng re hetoge makgoba. Lehathi le setlhoeng sa ngwaoboswa jwa mo Afrika. Honorable Acting President, indeed language and land and language are central to our heritage. Instead of growing, the indigenous African languages have been regressing following the advent of a democratic order in 1994. Publishers and booksellers shun African languages. It's unfortunate that African languages are being marginalized under an African majority rule. Cheikh Anta Diop, an African historian and anthropologist, says, quote, European languages must not be considered diamonds displayed under a glass bell, dazzling us with their brilliance. Our attention must rather be fixed on their historical development. Creatively, we discover that similar paths are open to all, unquote. It is said, indeed, that under democracy, our languages are being marginalized. Publishers that used to publish a lot of books in African languages today are shut down. Even at the university, at the tertiary institutions, African languages are relegated into second, if not third grade. So a heritage that does not carry within itself the indigenous languages, that heritage is not going to last long. We must recapture our soul, the soul of Africa, through African languages. Thank you.
Re lebogile mogara Makubela molaetša o kwagetše di fihlile di tsene ka ditsebeng gore di-language tša gabo rena tše dipolelo tša gabo rena re swantše gore di hlokomele re a leboga. At this time we are going to give this opportunity to a representative of the majority party in parliament and also here in the Northern Cape legislature, the ruling party, the African National Congress, as represented by a member of the National Assembly and also a member of the provincial treasurer of the African National Congress in the Northern Cape, Ms. Yolanda Botha, will come and give a message for the ANC.
The acting President of the Republic of South Africa, Minister Paul Mashatile, the Minister for Arts and Culture, other ministers present here today, the acting Premier of the Northern Cape, members of the National Assembly and the NCOP, members of provincial legislatures, members of traditional leaders, members of the executive councils of provinces, mayors and councillors, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. The theme for this month, when we celebrate our heritage, is celebrating the heroes and heroines of the liberation struggle of South Africa. And it is an opportunity for us as South Africans to forge unity and cohesion through the shared history. The ANC wants to take this opportunity to commend the government for promoting the importance of liberation heritage and in so doing forging unity and cohesion at all levels in society. The ANC, which is a mass-based liberation movement, is also celebrating its centenary under the theme Unity in Diversity. Thank you. I'm not as tall as my colleagues. Every month we've been celebrating the life and times of our president. And in this month in the Northern Cape, we have been celebrating the life and times of Chief Albert Lutuli. And Chief Albert Lutuli was a visionary man, as the acting Premier of the Northern Cape has already said. He had great vision, and he believed that South Africa belonged to all who live in it. And it is a position that the ANC has endorsed and personified. The great Charlotte Maxeke was another great heroine of our struggle. And the annual Charlotte Maxeke Memorial Lecture was given by the President of the Republic of South Africa in August at the University of the Free State. She was a visionary woman. She did pioneering work in the struggle for the emancipation of women, and in her time against great odds. The celebration of the lives and times of great South Africans, like the late President Oliver Tambo and many others, and linking it to developmental initiatives like youth development, is ensuring that their legacies stay alive in our memories. But, comrades and friends, ladies and gentlemen, today we are in the Northern Cape, the home of Kgoshi Galeshiwe, of Adam Kok, Waterboer, of David Kruiper, and many others. Its clear blue skies, its majestic sand dunes, its wide open spaces, so groot soos God se genade, bears testament to these leaders. The ANC's commitment to a non-racial, non-sexist, democratic society remains unshakable. We wish all South Africans and visitors to our shores a memorable National Heritage Day. Let's build our families, let's build our communities, and nation for a better life for all. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Yolanda, for that message. Honorable Acting President and Honorable Minister, this morning, in the spirit of the theme of this morning, of today, of celebrating the heroes and heroines of our liberation struggle, we paid a visit to the monument of the Upington 26 as part of the recognition of the contribution of the people of Upington to the liberation struggle and to the freedom which we're enjoying here today. And I'm quite certain that some of those comrades of the Upington 26 are also here amongst us, and I'm sure before we leave, you'll be able to meet them. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know that in government, the custodianship to take care of the affairs of South Africa, of the country, in terms of the arts and culture and all the heritage of South Africa lies with the Ministry of Arts and Culture. At this stage, I'm going to invite to the podium the Minister of Arts and Culture, Minister Mashatile, to come and say a few words, and at the same time also be doing the welcoming of our head of state. Very much.
Halala Upington, halala. Halala Northern Cape, halala. Goeiemiddag Upington, goeiemiddag. Thank program directors, thank you very much. The acting president, Ntate Kgalema Motlanthe, the acting premier of the Northern Cape, the district executive mayor, leaders of political parties here present, traditional leaders, particularly those from the Sen and Khoi communities, members of the diplomatic corps, all of you here today, I greet you. We are very happy to be here in the Northern Cape this afternoon in Upington to celebrate this important day. As the speakers before me said, we are honoring the heroes and heroines of our liberation struggle, and we are happy to be doing this with you here in the Northern Cape this afternoon. I would like to really take this opportunity to wish you well, to enjoy the day. I know that some of you out there are waiting to once again get some nice music, cultural activities. But before we do that, we would like to welcome the acting president of the Republic, Tate Kgalema Motlanthe, to convey a message to all of you and to the nation. And I promise you that will be the last speech for the day. After that, we will be thanking you and we can go and sing and dance. But please allow us to take this opportunity to get the acting president to talk to us. Before he comes to the podium, there is Imbongi who wants to welcome the acting president. So I'm going to defer to him to come to the podium to do so. And please enjoy the Heritage Day. Thank you very much.
Dumelang Afrika Borwa, dumelang tjhaba gaetsho. Ntsamatho lo ntsheng ditsebe lo nthetse lo thakanye tsebe ke aka thaka di utlwile mokgwasa. Sereng go bona ke tla ke tshotse molamu kana lo re ke tlileng tweng maAfrika Borwa batho ba agileng ka kagišo peo marumo fatshe kana nna ba gaetshong go lo fano ga ke atla gone go tla go rarana le me go itama galapa ba gaetshong go lo fano ke tlile go lontela go ke gore lo tlelo ntsheditse ba lo nthetse ke gore ba gaetso maAfrika Borwa tsela rona e kae maAfrika Borwa ka re ntshantse be lo nthetse kana ke tla ke lo tlatlele dio dingwe tse re di utlwileng ka matlhogo putswa batho bangwe ba bakileng ba re latha ke bua ka bone borre Madiba le ba bangwe go ela tlase le bone ba ba setseng ba apere mangwate ka mahatla ka re utlwa maAfrika batho bawa ka motseng wa e ne tsentse tlhako kgamelong e tona e ne ingwa ka la pele motsetse o na ja ka letsogo e tsentse tlhako kgamelong kgotsi yone e ga kwa ke mahoko Afrika Borwa a re lebeng kgakala re gopolone ngwao ya tšona kana re tle re emen rona re le basetsana re tle re apare jaaka batho ba maloba borremogolo batho ba re latlhileng kana batho ba itlileng ba re abela ngwao ka re ke bua ka lone letsatsi ba le bitsang ba reng ke lone Heritage Day maAfrika utlwa ka re tsayang dikgole lo di latlhele ko moseja gonne thaba tsa rona di a tsamaya ke bua ka tsone bo Drakensberg bo Mount Kilimanjaro kana ke bua ka one ngwao ya tšona Afrika Borwa ka re maAfrika ga nkitla ke a tententenyana temateng go sa itsiweng ke tla re tologa gone go leboga gore ko morago ga me go na le dumela mogaetšho maAfrika Borwa ntamogolo ka lelonteng le gofi gone go šopa boitumelo ka re dumelo tlhele montsadi kana madume ga ke sepe sa motho ana nna ntla re ke re o rre montsadi ke be ke ra o phutile kana o phutile tšhaba gago ke bua ka tšhaba Afrika Borwa bangwe ba kile ba re o mmangwana o tshwara thipa ka bogaleng nna ka gana nna nya ya banyana kare o monona o motlhaga pele tšheshe entle se kgabisanaga o le re udile golo sa amogela dilelo mekgato mašhe a letsele re anyile ka re ka diatla o re pepetleditse ka thari o re pepile re motlante ke gopola maloba ke sentse ke le mosimane o ntsenya mo tseleng ka thupa moretla o monana ka taboga la kgakala kana ka go phutha maAfrika bangwe ba ba batlang go itse ngwao kana ka ba abela yone ka re motlante re kgalema bangwe ke re ba go boka ba go re bare o tile o dia legaga o legaga ripala dikgwa mmala o ka tlhola o le makgasa o ratwa ke kapesa barena batala sa bogosi a itse ga ka gatakwa hela yo mo gatakang a ipotsa pele a ba ikarabe ka re motlante kana o na le tšhola bogosi phatlheng o rele le metsi magetleng ntshintsa matlho bogosi ga re o botsaletšwe ka re maAfrika Borwa utlwa ka re ga nkitla ke a tenyana teng go sa itsiweng go ne go a tentenyana temateng go sa itsiweng nka tloga ka itsa pelo go betsa re kgalema motlante tšhaba sa gago ke seoa a ko se kgaleme ka bokgabane gore se tle se kgatlhela
Dumelang bagaetsho. Program directors, Deputy Minister Joe Pahla and MEC Pauline Williams, the Acting Premier of the Northern Cape, Ms. Griselda Jikella, Minister of Arts and Culture, Mr. Paul Mashatile, members of the Provincial Executive Councils, leaders and representatives of political parties, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Your Worships, mayors and councillors, our religious leaders, traditional leaders, and in particular, Pietras Valboy of the San community, members of the Upington 26 and their families, fellow South Africans. Let me start off by thanking you for joining us for this year's Heritage Day celebrations. Last week, I had the honor of delivering the inaugural Oscar and Rose Mpeta Memorial Lecture at the University of Stellenbosch. The University of Stellenbosch Choir opened the proceedings with a remarkable rendition of our national anthem, followed by 2 more renditions of local traditional songs, one in isiXhosa and the other in Sesotho. The performance of the choir left all of us spellbound. The rendition of the African pieces was awe-inspiring, and I wished the performance could have been beamed live on national television for all South Africans to witness this magical moment. Not only was the overall performance peerless, but the choir's pronunciation, accent, vocal inflection, and intonation gave a lie to the thinking that people of European descent cannot enunciate African words. The dancing and rhythmic gyrations of the choir created such a natural feeling that one could have been forgiven for momentarily thinking that the choir comprised native speakers of the languages they were singing in. For the duration of the performance, I was so engrossed in the proceedings, it escaped me that the choir that was filling the venue with a uniquely African experience through such masterful technique was actually predominantly white students singing African songs in indigenous languages. Feelings of pride in being a South African gushed through me, and I concluded from the ecstatically wild response of the audience that most of them, black and white, caught up in a tide of cultural pride, had the same feeling. At this point, I realized that indeed we have common heritage as South Africans. To realize this, all we need do is make an effort to embrace our diversity. This need not be an imposition. Like the Stellenbosch Choir and the South African Olympics and Paralympic teams, it has to come naturally to us as a people ready to reach out to the other side of humanity. We need to develop a natural urge to embrace all the languages and cultures around us, to immerse ourselves in the richness of our collective cultural heritage. The moment of inspiration that stemmed from the performance of the Stellenbosch Choir proved that it is actually possible for all of us to each reach halfway. In this regard, the history of Mr. Johnny Clerk of the famous Juluka and later Savuka is a case in point. We need to draw inspiration from such moving accounts of some of our patriots. As we gather here to celebrate our diverse South African heritage, let us bear in mind that such heritage is not and should not be imprisoned in our ethnic and racial origins. We should not enclose what we deem to be our racial or ethnic cultural heritage within the walls of Jericho. Culture does overflow boundaries of time, race, ethnicity, since it is the totality of lived reality. In any case, most of our South African cultures have influenced each other. Even at a time when racial domination was scarring the South African social landscape, cultural influences still managed to find outlets to decant into different social domains. No culture in South Africa is pristine, and no language is unaffected by the multilingual experience that has been the melting pot that is South Africa for years. The Afrikaans diction has been heavily influenced by indigenous languages, as the indigenous languages themselves reflect English and Afrikaans influence in many respects. The cliques of the Khoisan people are found in the Nguni and Sesotho dialects. Hindi and isiZulu influence each other in interesting ways in KwaZulu-Natal. In addition, culture is a historical phenomenon whose development is determined by the succession of socio-economic formations, from communal society to slavery, from slavery to feudalism, from feudalism to capitalism, and from capitalism to whatever mode of production will follow. This is motion. This is change, because only change is constant. Hence, the young poet Raphael, in We Are Building a New School by Chris Sell, says, and I quote, "We want today to be men of tomorrow. We do not want tomorrow to be where we are today." And I close quote. Program Director, Heritage Day, as you know, is a day on which we as South Africans celebrate and affirm our individual and collective cultural, traditional, or ethnic identities that make up our uniqueness as a country endowed with rich diversity. It seeks to acknowledge our injurious past and the history which diminished the use of indigenous languages and free cultural expression. Celebrating this heritage, therefore, is part of our efforts of healing the divisions of the past and establishing a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. Heritage Day reflects the values of a constitutional democracy where all South Africans' cultural and linguistic rights are recognized and protected by the Constitution. Explaining government's decision to make Heritage Day a public holiday in 1996, former President Nelson Mandela said, and I quote, "The democratically elected government decided to make Heritage Day one of our national days. We did so because we knew that our rich and varied cultural heritage has a profound power to help build our new nation," close quote. The message Madiba was communicating to the nation was that there is an indivisible interrelationship between the mores, values, and traditions that shape our identity as individuals or cultural groups and their resultant effects on the overall cultural heritage of our nation. Indeed, Heritage Day is our source of pride as a nation. It strengthens our nationhood and accentuates our common humanity by recognizing the need to forge unity through common dignity, self-worth, and the esteem of each citizen. As we know, culture and heritage are not static forces. They are fluid and interdependent social processes which shape national consciousness and the cultural personality of a nation. It is for this reason that the South African Heritage Council has endorsed Braai for Heritage campaign, supported by, among others, Nobel Peace Laureate Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu, who has said, "Hierdie ding ons doen saam." Understood this way, the significance of Heritage Day can be appreciated more as a day that affirms the values of a secular state where all do different activities, be it through braaiing, going to church, visiting sacred spaces, sharing with others, enjoying our South Africanness in whatever way we can while appreciating our diversity. Ladies and gentlemen, if in the past the main enemy was the oppressive system of apartheid that held up the cultural interests of a few people in this country, today the biggest enemy facing our society is the triple problem of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. While it is the primary duty of government to address the triple problems mentioned above, it is also true that government needs social partnership to make sure that we achieve results. All South Africans, black and white, including business, have to roll up their sleeves to uproot the conditions that engender and sustain poverty, inequality, and unemployment. While addressing these central weaknesses, we also need to address other inhibitions, such as skills shortage, inefficiencies, and corruption. We need to build on the culture of teaching and learning to produce thought leaders and technical skills that our economy needs for growth, development, and reconstruction. Those who are entrusted with education and our schooling system should ensure that our schools have all the necessary facilities that a normal school should have. There should be qualified, diligent, and well-equipped teachers who go to classes and teach in each and every day of the week, because it is only through proper schooling that we will be able to produce well-informed citizens who can contribute towards the development of our country. We need to open the doors of learning and culture to all. Further, all of us should join hands to nip corruption in the bud. Corruption undermines the ability of the state to provide services to its people. Resources that are meant to improve conditions and lives of our people are diverted by the few well-positioned individuals to feed their own insatiable greed. Program directors, while in the past culture was embedded in the political processes and used as an object of racial oppression, today culture is a unifying force that must be celebrated by all. Diversity of cultures must be seen as an endowment and not a handicap. We must use it to explore new and untapped ideas, knowledge forms, and our rich heritage. As we have said before, our multifaceted heritage is enriched by our biodiversity, our fauna and flora, hosting, among others, the Big Five and 10% of the world's flowering species, bolstered also by various arts and crafts handed down from generation to generation. Our country is therefore well positioned to make a significant contribution to various facets of the global body of knowledge, and by increasing, nurturing, retaining African intellectual and scientific talent to ensure that such indigenous knowledge systems are used to solve the problems confronting society. Part of the Heritage Day cultural exchange must also encourage us to heed the call by the Minister of Tourism to be tourists of our own beautiful country. Indeed, we are fortunate to be living in a country blessed with this beauty and having 8 World Heritage Sites recognized by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. All of us must be able to appreciate these UNESCO heritage sites, which are the Rechtersveld Cultural and Botanical Landscape in Northern Cape, located in the remarkable mountainous deserts on the northwest coast of our country. The Greater St. Lucia Wetlands Park in KwaZulu-Natal, which is a site of ongoing fluvial, marine and aeolian processes that have produced a variety of landforms, including coral reefs, long sandy beaches, coastal dunes, lake systems, swamps, and extensive reeds. The Cape Floral Kingdom in the Western Cape, which is a region spanning 553,000 hectares of land and has one of the richest diversity of plants in the world. The Cradle of Humankind in Gauteng, which confirms South Africa to be the custodian of the first human ancestor, Australopithecus sediba in Maruping, now scientifically known to be the origin of humanity. The Mapungubwe cultural landscape in Limpopo, a relic of the largest kingdom in the subcontinent before it was abandoned in the 14th century. Robben Island in the Western Cape, an island that was used at various times between the 17th and 20th centuries as a prison, a hospital for socially unacceptable groups, for lepers, and a military naval base. Later, the island was used to incarcerate anti-apartheid activists such as Nelson Mandela, Amat Kathrada, Dr. Neville Alexandra, Walter Sisulu, Robert Sobukwe, and many others. Ukahlamba Drakensberg Park in KwaZulu-Natal, an exceptional natural park whose beauty is captured through its soaring basaltic buttresses, incisive dramatic cutbacks, and golden sandstone ramparts. Vredefort Dome in Free State, which is the oldest and largest meteorite impact site in the world. I hope that South Africans will have the opportunity in their lifetime to visit these world marvels and celebrate these alongside other monuments that mark our historical journey as a people. Program Director, allow me to once again recall the example of the University of Stellenbosch Choir, who last week taught us through their angelic voices and sweet folk melodies that as South Africans we have the ability to embrace and affirm our cultures and tradition in a manner that brings us together. The Stellenbosch Choir demonstrated beyond doubt that with willingness to learn, it is possible to create a society bound by its national imperatives of unity and cooperation. As a multicultural and multi-ethnic society, we must always foreground our unique heritage. By emphasizing our common heritage, we will be moving away from our divisive past and downplaying any alienating traits of exaggerated self-importance as ethnic or racial entities. We stand over and above everything in our country to achieve our strategic goal of creating a united, democratic, non-racial, non-sexist and prosperous nation. This is where our future belongs, and our common heritage is interwoven with this strategic goal. Let us use this day to move towards that vision of national unity and cultural harmony. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Honorable Acting President.
It's my home.
I sold all your stuff on OLX, and I got this cool baby stuff at the same time. Ivan! Salad!
Post your ad for free and get some cash with OLX.
Acting President Kgalema Motlanthe delivering the keynote address at the main rally meant to commemorate this day, National Heritage Day, under the theme celebrating the heroes and heroines of the liberation struggle in South Africa. You're watching a live broadcast of Heritage Day celebrations that this year, the rally this year being held, of course, in Upington in the Northern Cape. The attainment of democracy in 1994 was, as everybody knows, the outcome of a political struggle against the apartheid regime. It is hoped that today's celebration, among other things, could help restore that confidence and hope in what South Africans can achieve for the country when they are committed to the cause. Our reporter Tumisho Mashaba spent some time with one of the heroes of our struggle, George Bizos, who used his legal expertise to help defeat the brutality of the apartheid system.
Did you lie in order to protect your husband?
I did.
Are you not lying now through your teeth in order to get amnesty for your husband?
Definitely not, Mr. Bizos.
George Bizos arrived in South Africa in 1941, having fled from the German invasion of Greece together with his father. He was only 13 years old at the time, and following the kind help of a female teacher, Mrs. Feinstein, George was accepted at the Athlone High School for Boys. The late 1940s was a politicized period in South Africa and the world. The National Party had just assumed power, introducing with it an apartheid state. As a law student at the University of the Witwatersrand, George gave a fiery speech at the Great Hall, courting the attention of the security police.
We didn't have public address systems in those days, but I spoke at the top of my voice. And I said that if wanting all our fellow students, black or white, to be treated properly makes me a leftist, I'm proud to be one.
Bizos joined the Johannesburg Bar in 1954. Practicing as an advocate, Bizos worked closely with the then prominent Mandela and Tambo practice.
Mandela and Tambo made a name for themselves throughout the country. They had people coming to them from all over the country. People were very proud, black people were very proud to be represented in court by black attorneys. They couldn't appear in the High Court, the Supreme Court, and they needed counsel. And there were a number of us, about half a dozen, that did a lot of work for them, and I was among them.
In the 1960s, Bizos formed part of the team that defended people like Nelson Mandela, Govan Mbeki, and Walter Sisulu in the Rivonia trial.
He played a great role, and because he was not only a lawyer, he was a friend of the people by then. He knew everybody there. He had worked with them on many other occasions, and to him it was a matter that he had to get these people off, and especially the death sentence that was looming.
It is an idea for which I hope to live and to see realized. But my Lord, if it need be, it is an idea for which I am prepared to die.
Defendants of the Delmas trial dubbed Bizos Matla Atlou the power of the elephant because of the way he would crush the credibility of key state witnesses.
As soon as the state has finished its evidence, he stands up almost as if he has had a week to study the evidence of this person, and he has his ducks in a row. He is able to efficiently cross-examine the witness and just destroy what was false. He would be able to deal with.
In his relentless pursuit for justice, Bizos represented a number of prominent figures in the struggle, like Chris Hani and Winnie Mandela.
He loved Winnie. He was very, very happy and Winnie had many, many cases against her. I mean, she had a rough time all those years. The police were on her at every turn. And there were so many cases that Winnie had to have defended. And George was always there for her.
He could always see the humanity in everybody, including his adversaries. And that was quite remarkable. So certainly compassion is a huge quality that he has, even for his adversaries.
His contribution towards the liberation of South Africa remains immeasurable. Dumiso Mashaba, SABC News, Johannesburg.
It's my home. 1, 2, 3, go. I'm counting down the week, every hour, making things alright. I'm seeing you tonight. Today's the day. I'm up and on my way. What's up, girl? Hey, make the time go faster. I just can't wait to see ya.
Fall in love with Mondays at Spur. Buy a beef, chicken or rib burger and get another absolutely free. Spur people. People with a taste for life.
Divided background. But in the
You're watching a live broadcast of Heritage Day celebrations. Today coming to you live from Upington in the Northern Cape. That, of course, being where the main event is being held this year. You just listened to Acting President Kgalema Motlanthe delivering a keynote address touching on quite a number of issues, including our unity in diversity, but also touching on issues such as education and its importance and the role that all of us should be playing, as well as corruption, which he says needs to be nipped in the bud because these resources that are meant for the people are in fact being diverted by a few greedy individuals. Well, let's go back now to that stadium in Upington, where Yolisa Njamela is standing by to give us an update of what is happening right there. Yolisa, it's over to you.
Yabulela vuyo sukukhumbuze nje uba sibhiyozela ilwimi zethu, inkcubeko, amasiko, amagugu ethu namafa. Just a footnote, interestingly, in Upington, in fact, while they celebrate their heritage in varying ways, one thing for sure, they share a language. 97% of residents in this part of the country speak Afrikaans. We're here now joined by a local musician who, in fact, is one of the proponents of, upgrading everything in terms of music-wise and also pushing for the arts. His name is Obi, and Obi joins us and tells us a bit about how do you guys celebrate culture in this part of the world?
Dis wanneer al die culture by mekaar kom en praat spesifiek van die Nama, die Khoi, die Damra, die Sans en ons vier fees tot wanneer ons warme son ondergaan. Dit is die lekkerste part, want ek praat nou van al die tale wat ons praat. So dit is wat dit actually basies oor gaan. Heritage is my man.
You also produced an album. You're a local artist, we understand that, and it's called Going to Africa. Tell us more about it, because you are particularly promoting the language, aren't you?
Yes, ik praat van al die talen wat ik kan praat. Ik praat van, jij kan Shangaan praat, jij kan Afrikaans praat, jij kan van Somalia is, jy kan 'n Damara is. But solank as jy Suid-Afrikaner is, you Africans we living in Africa. It doesn't matter what language you speak. So that is what ek wil sê. En die song gaan soos dit. We are Africans living in Africa. Oh la la, oh la la. Asia, Africa. Oh la la, oh la la. Ikaya la panuele.
All right, that's Obi for us, giving us the melody here from these parts of the world. Thank you so much. Unity in diversity. We're taking it back to the studio with Vuyo.
Obi giving us a taste of his music as we celebrate Heritage Day. Well, this year's Heritage Day, coinciding with the centenary celebrations of the governing African National Congress Party, celebrates the heroes of our struggle. Our colleague Margaret Mutibi looks at one unheralded Northern Cape hero who escaped death row.
The bone-dry township of Pabalelo in Upington today. In the mid-1980s, at the height of revolt against apartheid, this community became a political hotbed when a peaceful demonstration turned violent. The result? The arrest of local activists, a case that was known as the Upington 26. Among the 26 was this man, a senior government official in the Northern Cape. Today, 2 decades later, Justice Beke still lives a life of pain and tragedy, tempered by hope and forgiveness.
We decided if it's going to be war against us, we are also going to take the war to yourselves. And the unfortunate thing is some of our comrades lost their lives, and some on the other side of the law lost their lives, which is something, if we can do it all over again, we'll do it definitely differently.
He was arrested in Namibia soon after the Pabalelo uprising and faced 14 charges, all but a murder charge for the death of a policeman killed in the violence stuck. While others eventually gained their freedom, others were never heard of again, something that still pains Beke and his comrades.
There's a number of our comrades who got lost up to today without any trace. Truth and Reconciliation Commission came and it went. We still don't know where Unsri Kimbeta is. We still don't know where Emil Kakuyu is. And those are all of our comrades from Pabalelo, just a small community of Pabalelo. There's a number of our comrades up to today that nobody knows where they are.
The activists believe that many of their comrades were tortured to death. Like many others, Beke still lives with the memory of the brutality they faced while incarcerated, a dark time in his life he rarely returns to. Among his friends and comrades to die was lawyer Anton Laboski. A decade since his release, there's some light in Beke's life, coming in the form of his family. Beke Jr. was devastated by his father's incarceration, recalling how when he saw other children talking to their fathers, he thought of his absent father. Together now, the young Beke has a high regard for his father, a single parent raising 4 children.
He's a wonderful person. He actually doesn't connect the two things, politics and his life or our life at home. It's totally separated. He never speaks about work. It's always about family.
This trained lawyer and government official will always remember those he lost, among them his childhood sweetheart Selina, who died in a tragic car accident. Despite all that was taken from him, Justice Beke remains hopeful and is dedicating his life to giving back to his family and his country. Margaret Mutibi, SABC News, Kimberley.
Celebrating the lives of our heroes and heroines who brought the democracy that many of us may be taking for granted today. Well, let's go back to Upington, the main event, where acting President Kgalema Motlanthe just delivered a keynote address.
aiwa ndi milaedza minzhi ra ḓo i wana namusi kha ḓuvha ḽa vhufa musi ri tshi khou pembelela ḽeneḽi ḓuvha ndi tshi khou ri u tou bva kha nṋe hanefhano Upington ḓuvha ḽo vha ḽavhuḓi zwino ri ya kha Tammy Dixon.
Kuka ngako ke obesinako nathi kwelicala laseDanicase Stadium kulo mmandla wase-Upington. Sasithatha ke zonke izidambo ngoku sizibuyisela eRhawutini kuvuyo. Mna ke ndinguTammy Dixon apha kulo mmandla wase-Danicase.
Remember, unity in diversity. All the way from Upington, we're saying thank you very much for joining us. It's a goodbye.